I hadn't even thought about it.
It's just an idea.
Well, keep them coming, just not now. Everybody's mics are good, right?
No.
No?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. You guys ever done like a mic check before?
No.
And how they would say like sibilance in the mic to make sure it's good?
No.
For like forever, I thought it was syphilis. So I'm like saying syphilis in a microphone.
Okay. Coming from you doesn't surprise me.
Why? No. Whatever.
Not at all.
All right, green. Okay, I think we're good. We want to.
Live.
Yeah, now we're live. We want to welcome everyone to the Mile High Roundtable. It is so awesome to be doing an episode on a 2-game win streak. We want to see how it feels to do one after a 3-game win streak. So we're going to be recapping the Patriots game, talking about how to secure a win versus the Chiefs, and covering your Denver Broncos news. Just maybe not necessarily in that order. We're not professional at all. So I was going to go into something else, but I just noticed in that intro, it looks like I don't change my clothes. I'm wearing exactly the same thing right now as I was then.
You don't even leave that room, so
I don't.
I am not
sleep
surprised.
Just like this. We once again want to we want to welcome everybody in. You can catch us live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. So make sure you like and subscribe, turn on notifications so you can get a notification every single time that we go live or we post a video. Also follow us on Twitter at MHRT Podcast. Leave us any questions, comments. We love to hear from you. Also go to our Facebook page, like and follow us on there. We're growing every single day, and we want to continue to grow. And we couldn't do that without our hosts. So I'm going to introduce everybody. Mr. Swipe Left is me, Mundungus Creamy. The man who loves his 2x4s, 6'10". The man with nothing on under his barrel, Glenn. And you all know her. She loves her some McMuffins. It's Christy, everybody.
Hi.
So, going into the Patriots game, everybody was counting us out. We were an underdog in that game, and we came out on top. And honestly, we should have smoked them. We dominated every single part of that game. It wasn't even close. The only reason it was, and people might, we've been hearing that Drew Lock hate, is and honestly, like a lot of it was, or most of it was the drops. Like if you had anybody who had dropped a ball, like let's take what's that stupid Hamilton, there it is. Hamilton. Leave me alone. Hamilton hit him right in the chest and just dropped it. If you add in all the balls that should have been caught, he's well over 300 yards and 3 or 4 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah, and to quote, and I know Glenn can attest to this, I shared a video about this on social media the other day about the Denver defense just being above average or just average. And those guys went out there and they put on one hell of a show. Let me tell you, it seems that it's almost like they listened to us the week before, and the guys that we asked to step up, stepped up. You know what I'm saying? We finally got some action from Malik Reed. We finally got some action from just Simmons. We even saw an interception from Bryce Callahan, a guy's name who just last year, every time we mentioned his name, we were just wondering if he was, a waste of money or a bust or whatever. But these guys are finally starting to come together. And this is the defense that we wanted to see since week 1. And mind you, this is a defense that doesn't have Von Miller, that doesn't have Jarrell Casey to an extent. But if those guys were in this defense healthy, that game would have been even more, the score would have been way more different, a blowout. Thank you, Christy. And the results would have been the same. It's still going to be Denver winning. So it seems to me like the guys are starting to get the hang of the Fangio scheme. Ojemudia finally balled out, and he's starting to show improvement little by little. And if we can keep this going, and we can keep proving people that the Broncos mean business, and if we can get the offense to turn those field goals into touchdowns, not taking anything away from McManus, McMoney, I love McMoney. I'm glad he was able to do what he does best, but we can't also always leave it up to his legs. So, going out there and shutting down Cam Newton is the one thing that Denver seems to be always do the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we had talked about, losing Von Miller, just having a player that can get maybe 6 to 8 sacks in a year. But Malik Reed's looking good, and once you get a Tachu back, there is a possibility that the two of them together could replicate what Von would have done on his own.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Which is a good thing.
Absolutely. And when Adon was mentioning who is missing, Bouye as well. So when he comes back, I mean, the thing that really stood out to me for the defense, in addition to just the stellar play and keeping things in check, and it was clearly their best game of the year, was the camaraderie really was pretty evident. It looked like they were a pretty tight bunch. I don't know why it stood out to me. I watched the game again last night to prep for today, and that was one thing that really stuck in my mind, was that these guys really seem to enjoy one another. They seem to be playing very well together, and I'm excited to see how this coming week is with the weapons that Kansas City has.
Right.
Yep.
And you had Lindsey back on the field, and he's a natural team leader. So I think they kind of took some of his energy. He was really pumped up about playing, and they put that into the game. So I think they're going to do good.
Yeah, and at least I think that with Lindsey being in the game and not having Melvin Gordon there, and I've never been a big fan of Melvin Gordon, but I think a lot of those red zone opportunities that were missed were because we didn't have Fant and we didn't have Melvin Gordon. Lindsey's a good running back, but again, in between the tackles, it's not really his thing. Once it gets close and everything bottles up, he's not the guy you want to go to unless you can throw it to him on the outside.
Right. And like I said earlier, this is pretty much more than a preview. If I was Kansas City, I'd really be scared, because this isn't going to be like previous matchups where Kansas City had an advantage over us because we had a new offensive coordinator, we had a new coach, we had a new defense coordinator and all that. This is a defense that's hungry for wins. And I'm pretty sure that if Denver goes in there and they can get another motivational win against Kansas City, and we go up 3-3, if anybody on that team needs more motivation than that, I mean, I'm already hyped up just thinking about it.
Yeah. And I know we had Dalton Reisner go out of the game. And is it Schlotman or Sloatman? Sloatman. He didn't look like, if you compare Sloatman and Reisner last year, Reisner was way better. But this year, Reisner's not playing up to what he did last year. Right. So I'm not saying that I want Sloatman to replace him full time, but at least for right now, it looks more like a lateral move than we're losing big on that injury.
I think I'm wrong. I think it is Schlotman.
Schlotman? But I mean, the whole line looked great. So
They did.
Yeah.
And Dotson, another good performance. They even gave him a day off the other day just because he's an old man.
So that was like a Veterans Day, wasn't it, or something like that?
Yeah. Well, I was reading about him before he joined the team, and that's why I had a little reservations about him in the first place, because a lot of the players and actually fans were saying that he does good, and then he needs a rest. So I'm glad that they're working with him and giving him a rest, because he has been what has made this line actually grab a little bit of, cohesion. So it's a good thing.
It's not like that's a thing that hasn't happened before, right? I mean, T.O. would sit out of practices sometimes. Ocho Cinco would. I know Favre used to. So, I mean, you know, the older players that need to break, they seem to get breaks. So that's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
One of the things that really annoys me is that the offensive line played really well. And so you're like, all right, we're going to see like Drew Lock and what he can do and how awesome it is behind a good line. And then nobody can catch the ball.
They'll get it. I mean, first game with Lock, I get it. They need more practice. And that just comes with playing. So practice, practice, practice. I'm not going to say coaching. I'm going to say practice, 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 because that's what they need. They need more play time.
I mean, I get it, but, like, you're getting paid millions of dollars to catch a ball. Like, catch the ball.
Yeah. I mean, you have to.
There were at least 2 or 3 that I don't care if there's chemistry or not. You should have caught that ball.
Right. Yep. Definitely.
Well, he definitely has chemistry with Albert O, and he dropped a couple. But how exciting was it to see him on the field? And then Shermer today in his press conference referenced the fact that it looks like Fant is going to be back this week, and the 2 of them should be on the field together at times.
Yeah,
which
he was
going to be just.
He was a full participant. Noah Fant was full practice today.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, from all those drop passes that you talked about, Mike, the only one that I think should, the only one that I cannot look away and say, you know, hey, it's you know, he's a rookie or whatever. It's from Hamilton, from Deshaun Hamilton.
Oh.
So I think he needs to be benched. I think, you know, he needs one of the coaches to do something to try to get him to motivate him, you know. Put in Tyree Cleveland in there. Put in, I don't know, somebody from the practice squad in there, because nothing seems to be working with this guy, and it's not motivating him enough. And if the idea of being cut from the team is not enough motivation for him to say, hey, you know what, I need to learn how to shape up, and you know, I need to play better. And if that's not motivation enough for him, then he doesn't deserve a spot on this team, because that catch from Drew Lock was on the money. Yeah. And it just bounced off of him. He could walk in there and it's a touchdown. And he beat Stephon Gilmore. That's the worst part. He beat one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL, and he botched that pass. So the fact that those 3 drop passes, Drew Lock could have finished with 3, you know, touchdowns, even though he had 2 interceptions. But the first one, it was just a miscommunication between Lock and the runner. And then the second one, I'm pretty sure came from Shermer. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know why you decide to heave the ball in double
blame
coverage
Shermer
like
for
that. But all you had to do was run the ball, you know, eat up clock. You forced New England to, you know, use their timeouts instead of putting the Broncos in that position. But apparently they had faith in their defense, so it was a gamble.
Well, if we had a couple of those catches that were touchdowns, we wouldn't have been in a position to even be passing at that point. It would have been such a blowout. I mean, it was a dominating performance. The marching down the field. It's, you know, the fact that the first 4 possessions in the opening half had scores attached to them. And granted, they were Christie's McMuffin there, but
I'm giving him a new nickname. I'm calling him McLovin.
Hey, copyright. It's taken. So I want to make a quick point, and then we'll go into some of these the chats we've got or the comments. As far as Pat Shermer goes, I do not blame him for that play call, because I mean, that's one of those situations where if he makes that catch, we're not like, oh, that was a terrible play call. It's that was an awesome play call. Plus, everybody and their grandmother knew that you should run the ball. So I understand wanting to throw it. I put more of that interception on Drew Lock, because, number one, you don't throw into double coverage. He should have seen that safety undercutting the route. And 2, there definitely had to be an outlet on that play. So he should not have thrown that ball to Tim Patrick. So I don't blame Shermer for that play call at all. I like the play call, because you're not running it like everyone expects you to do.
Well, I loved the play calls the whole game. I mean, the bombs. That was so fun to watch. You know, everyone was complaining that Drew was not throwing passes downfield, and that was just
like
such
the very
a huge
first
portion.
play.
Oh, it's so great.
So we are being joined. We've got Landon in here. We've got Vic. We've got Josh, Bawana. We have, nope, that's me. We've got Nathan. Nathan coming in. Let's hope Lindsey gets his spot back with Gordon as the backup. At this point, I don't really know if there's going to be a starter and a backup. I think a lot of it's going to be situational. Like, like I said earlier with the red zone, I think Melvin Gordon's probably going to get used more in the red zone in close situations, whereas Lindsey's going to be used more outside, bootlegs, play actions, things like that. So I don't necessarily know if it's going to be start or backup.
So at first play of the game, who's out there? I think it's Lindsey at this point.
I think it's both.
Yeah.
Well, just like in the first game, I think it's both.
Yeah, we still have to keep in mind that sooner than later, Melvin Gordon is going to be facing a 1 to 2 game suspension from the league for his DUI thing. So I'm pretty sure he's going to have to work his way back from in terms of earning trust and rep and all that. But as long as he's on that field and him and Lindsey can confuse defenses with that 1-2 punch that I'm always talking about, I think that they're going to do great. If this O-line if they can keep, being as formidable and strong as they've been and, opening up those holes and letting the running backs do their job, they can be a headache for any defense.
And talking about Gordon and a suspension, they did sign a running back, Crockett, who's played with Drew Lock before. So,
not Muhammad.
Yeah,
sorry, 6'10". No commission for you.
I know my boy Muhammad's still floating out there somewhere. He'll be on a team one day.
So I think they're prepared for that. I think that's what that is all about in the first place. So.
But I mean, does that signing really make a difference, though? I mean, I understand he's got chemistry with Drew, but
it might make a difference.
Is he even going to hit the field? And if he does,
there's a reason that they signed him.
Well, he's going to get comfortable with the team over the next few weeks, and then he'll be the third back that during the suspension. And the Broncos, I guess, are not going to suspend him or punish him in any fashion. Just let the league take care of it.
Right.
One thing with Gordon, though, is that he is very good at is blitz pickup. He's much better at that than Philip Lindsay. So I think on third downs, you're not going to be seeing Lindsay in there at all.
And Royce Freeman completely missed a blitz. just woof.
Yeah. That shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to circle. Well, here let's do this one first. Good to have depth at running back. Thank you, Vic. It is
very true.
I'm not exactly sure what that one is. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
No, he's another running back.
Yeah, he's
so
another
I think he's just saying that he'll be ahead.
Hopefully
we won't need to go into the depths of a third string running back at this point. But I mean,
unless it's Muhammad.
Yeah. Bring my boy Muhammad.
But I do want to circle back around to Drew Lock, because Drew Lock has been under fire since that game. And I'm only going to assume it's a minority of Broncos fans, because come on,
of course
really?
It is.
It's the same ones that have been complaining that they want to trade him. That's the same ones. So.
Yeah, and I mean, there were a few overthrows. There were a few gaffes on Drew Lock's part. I do think that second interception was on him. That was the second one, right? Or was it the first one?
Yeah,
okay,
it was
the second one.
Yeah.
The second one, I do think was on him. I don't blame the play call on that one. But you do see the flashes of what could be. Like, the arm strength is there. He's accurate. He was dropping dimes on perfect throws.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's...
The enthusiasm, the leadership, the you could see he's changed his way a little bit, too. Did you notice the stepping into the pocket, stepping into his throws? When you're throwing that many long bombs, you're going to overthrow. I mean, listen, the Broncos are all in on Drew Lock right now. I mean, Elway was interviewed by Phil Milani from the Broncos organization, Broncos Media, and he was just raving about him, saying, there's no tanking going to be.
Well, and at this point, even if we did, are the Jets even going to win a game? So it's not like we're going to get Trevor Lawrence anyways. Like, if we're
for Trevor Siemian.
if we're going to tank for an offensive lineman or a middle linebacker or something like that. Like, I'm not saying to do that. Don't quote me on that. I'm just saying, like, at this point, we're not going to be I don't even think we're going to finish in the top 15 for draft picks. So, with how the offense looks as far as potential wise, there's if Drew can improve just a little bit, like, imagine what the offense can do when they can catch touchdowns.
Now you're going to see Drew improve not just a little bit, but more and more and more every single game if we can keep him healthy. And that's it.
Well, and I was going to say, when with Glenn's point, he said, did you see the changes? Did you see when he got hit out of bounds, he tucked his arms in so that he wouldn't hurt himself? So, he said that he'd been watching game film of other quarterbacks. Obviously, he took that lesson.
Right.
Yeah. And it always amazes me how every time a player on this team or a staff member makes a certain choice and it's not to the agreement of certain people, they automatically go to fire Fangio, fire John Elway, drop Drew Lock, tank for Lawrence. And it's like, why?
Fire McMahon.
Fire McMahon.
You can't just keep doing that over and over again.
Yeah, why would you, if this team is trying to move forward and these people are trying to pull this team back, if they had their choice, there is no way that this team can move forward and get something going if every year we're constantly replacing things. And by that, I mean replacing things that don't need to be replaced.
Right.
Okay. Vic Fangio's defense is coming around. It's one of the top 10 defenses, if I'm not mistaken. Drew Lock is starting to come under his own. And Drew Lock doesn't even have all his weapons, mind you. He doesn't have Cortland Sutton out there, and he doesn't have KJ Hamler. So the fact that he's going out there and he's making do with what he has, and he's making these plays, I respect him for that. And I'm pretty sure he's only going to get better with it in time. And, like Mile High Beauty says, Andy Reid said that Lock is only going to continue to get better. And I truly agree. And the same thing with Shermer. I'm pretty sure as time goes on, Shermer's going to find some plays that fit more to his strengths. So it just takes time, and people need to be patient and not always look for somebody to blame.
Yep.
Yeah. Elway said in that interview, I think he goes, Drew Lock's going to be a very, very good quarterback in this league for a very, very long time.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nate Leitner coming in saying, did you see where Benjamin Albright compared Locke to what people wish Carr would have been? Personally, I don't see the comparison. I think Locke is already better than Carr. I do see it. Like, they're similar in their quarterback types, but Drew Lock has more talent than Carr does.
Mm-hmm.
He does. And to start out, like, Carr was once what Drew Lock is now, but Carr's kind of taking a turn down a hill. So
I
like Drew Lock better.
Terry Teal. Drew Lock will never take the Broncos deep into the playoffs. He's just not an elite caliber quarterback. He's good enough to be a starter. That's it. You know who else was told that? Peyton Manning, his rookie year, was told that.
Yeah.
John Elway, his rookie year, was told that. Brett Favre was told that. So go ahead, bring the hate.
Yeah.
We got way more under our belt that he's a good quarterback than he's a bad quarterback.
John Elway lined up behind the guard one time or his rookie year, to take the snap. So I'm not worried about Drew Lock. I love the weapons that we have. I love that we're starting to get healthier. The injuries were just such a part of the narrative at the beginning of the year, but we still have guys that are out for the season. But Tim Patrick, he is Cortland Sutton right now. He is just, guy's just been amazing. Such a leader, multiple 100-yard receiving games. Let's see what Beast has to say. Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl. It's not just Lock. Trent Dilfer, Super Bowl champion, right?
I think I've said that before.
Yeah, Trent Dilfer, Super Bowl champion, right?
So I'm just saying, like, Peyton Manning went 4-12 in his first season. So Drew Lock's had 8 starts. Like, give him a minute. Like,
right?
No,
and he's been injured. He's just coming off an injury, and you can say what you want about it, but you see a lot of quarterbacks that get injured and they come out and they're still very apprehensive when they come back on the field. They're shuffling the ball out quick, and Drew Lock looked confident to me. he came out and he wasn't scared. It was like he was, I'm back. So
he was not skittish at all. You're right.
No.
Absolutely not.
So there's Vic. Tebow got us to the playoffs. Come on. And then
where's your Tebow jersey, Mike?
I think it's over there. Biggie Bronco.
It's holding up the coffee table.
Nick Foles is a Super Bowl MVP. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But then Biggie Bronco came in. It's more about 2021 and 2022 with all the injuries the Broncos had this year and threw those rookies right in the fire. And they're going to be better next year. I do agree. But we're getting a lot of people back from injury right now. Like right now, the big ones are Sutton and Miller. We're not getting them back. But everybody
can
else.
You imagine when they do?
Well, Von Miller, you have to put in quotes because if the Denver
he might come back.
Yeah, if the Denver team can keep playing great football and get us into a playoff spot, we could have a wild card Miller on our hands. But Cortland Sutton, of course, is done for the season. We will not see him until September of next year.
In the interview that went south, Vaughn actually said he was planning on coming back. If he could come back, he was planning on coming back regardless of the record.
Right.
Yeah. And speaking of that, if there is, I don't know if you guys saw, but before they went off to play the New England, Von Miller was actually at the facility.
Right.
So I feel that his motivation and his presence there with the defensive guys, it was a fire that I'm pretty sure, helped them play while they were out there. So that just goes to what we've been saying since, week one about having Von Miller out there and not having his presence, how it affects the defense, But just having those guys play with Von Miller in mind and, playing for him until he gets healthy and comes back, that speaks volumes about what kind of guy Von Miller is to the team.
We just have to no scooter accidents. He's got to stay away from the healthy players with that thing whipping around. So what do you think about Drew growing up a little bit and moving on from Toy Story to Star Wars at this point?
Darth Vader.
I still like the Buzz Lightyear part, though.
I did. I was reading about Drew today a little bit, but it's I would love for him to be able to beat the Chiefs this week, especially since he's from there. His folks are coming out for the game. He didn't play particularly well in the snow. It was his one loss last year, but I would love for him to be the, he certainly is the evil empire, to the people that he grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one more thing. I'm going to assume that Terry Teal is a Chiefs fan, and that's fine. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. We'll sit back here on our 8 Super Bowl appearances. You can have your 2. That's fine. If we go by history, you'll be in another Super Bowl in 2070. So good luck with that. Have fun. I did want to bring up one hypothetical, and it's more for next year. But with how Tim Patrick is playing and with how Jerry Jeudy has played so far, how do you see the wide receivers playing out next year? Because we're going to have Sutton back. So me personally, based on what we've seen so far, I'm seeing Sutton on one side, Patrick on the other, and then Hamler and Jeudy switching in and out on slot.
Slot. Yeah.
And if Jerry Jeudy breaks a game or starts getting better and is averaging 100 yards a game, that's fine. I'll eat my words. But right now, you don't want to let Tim Patrick go, but you don't want to put him in the slot where Jeudy and Hamler seem to be the best fit.
Right. And we're ignoring the fact that then you also have Noah Fant and Albert O as receiving weapons at the same time. I mean,
it's crazy.
Loaded.
Yeah. It is crazy. I'm excited about it.
I am too. As long as we get rid of Hamilton, I think we'll be fine. I don't really see the Broncos looking for a wide receiver in free agency. Maybe practice squad, depending on how the restrictions on the practice squad are come next season. But as long as we get Sutton back healthy and, Jerry Jeudy picks up the pace in terms of, not playing so rookie-ish, that Broncos offense is going to look really good.
Yeah.
I think Deshaun he's already thrown away his shot, to paraphrase from Hamilton the musical. But I digress.
He needs to learn from prison shower rules. You don't drop the soap. You don't drop the ball. That took a weird turn.
I have no idea what that is.
Moving from the offense into the defense. I thought that. What?
I'm at a loss.
I didn't say anything.
I think the defense. I think that the defense played pretty well. I mean, we had 3 more sacks, or was that 3 turnovers? Both.
4 sacks and four forced
sacks.
fumbles and 2 interceptions. And Cam was on his back again.
A lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
By our good friend Chiclo.
Yep.
The man who ran in to sack Cam Newton after he was holding the ball for a good, 10 seconds?
Yeah.
Well, and I love me some Honey Bear, but good night, he's slow.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
One of the nice things about the defense was there were a lot of participants, a lot of contributors. So you were hearing everybody's name. It was a true team effort. How about the last play call? The defensive scheme with the double blitz, and it was nice to see that Bosby was the one that was covering and did not give up a up a play on that.
No, the defense did really good. Everybody did their part. We didn't get that much linebacker action this game from Honey Bear and Alexander Johnson, but when the blitz came, they got in there and they made sure to make their presence known. But this was a game that the secondary was pretty much the highlight of the day, and this is exactly what we need going into next week against the Chiefs. Hopefully we get Bouye back with no limited restrictions or anything. And hopefully it's supposed to snow in Denver, so hopefully we don't get a crazy elements game like we did towards the end of the season last year in Kansas City, where the elements play a factor on the decision of the winner of the game.
Yeah. Well,
and Bouye it was a full practice for him, wasn't it?
Yeah. He had full practice.
He's still on injured reserve, right? And then
I think they said he's got 2 practices or pass 2 tests, and then he can come off or something like that.
Yeah, Fangio was saying something about that. Like 3 steps until he's ready to go to see. Well, but he has 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks. Yeah.
Well, and that brings up a good point. Like when Boye comes back, where do we see Bosby going? Because Ojemudia is the guy that's on the other side. And so are they sharing time? I mean, they're not going to put him in the slot because that's where Callahan's at.
They might. I have them being on a shared account. Depends on what the cover play is called, because each one of those guys have their strengths. Ojemudia is a little bit better at something that Bosby isn't, and Bosby is better in certain coverages than Ojemudia isn't. So as long as they don't send Bosby back to the practice squad and keep him on the team at least for depth, I'm happy, because we just don't want to go backwards. But I know that the Broncos gave up. They released Timmy Jernigan to make room for Draymond Jones. So I think Draymond Jones will be back on Sunday. DeMarcus Walker, I think, will be back on Sunday. So we're getting back some key pieces that we didn't have going into the New England game, and these pieces are more than needed in a recipe for a loss or a win, I should say, against the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the big 2, like Sutton's out for the year, and Von Miller, he might come back, but I'm just generally going to say he's done for the year.
Yeah.
But other than that, we're getting back everybody that we were supposed to have. So, we're going to see more of what the team was supposed to look like at the beginning of the year. Now you've got the defense looking more like they were supposed to. And it's interesting because it's taken 4 to 5 weeks for the Broncos to kind of look like they're supposed to. Whereas if we'd had the preseason, you've got 4 preseason games. So you kind of wonder, like, if we'd had that offseason, is this how we would have looked coming into the season?
I'm sure we would have won both of those first 2 games without a doubt.
Yeah.
If we looked like that.
in your question about the cornerbacks, that just shows you how funky this year has been. With 3 weeks ago, we were concerned about depth and what are we going to do, and it's one of the biggest positions of need. And now we're like, how do we fit all these guys in and get them playing? So it's just it's the most fluid season I think we've ever seen, and we're only 5 games in.
Yeah. Thankfully, the injury bug decided to take a nice break, because ever since week 2, week 3, when it just went all over the country and just started biting players left and right, it just made you worry that hopefully your star player going out on the field doesn't get hurt. So it's good that whatever injuries the Broncos have had over the last 5 weeks, they weren't nothing serious, and that it's something that the team can rebound. And it's better to have a problem of where to put guys than the problem of not having enough depth and having to dip into free agency or trade.
Yeah. Vic coming in again. Broncos D getting better every week. I think Chubb gets to the QB this week. Just like the last 2 weeks.
Just like the last
blowing
2.
it up.
Yeah.
Now I do have an interesting question for you. So Harris has been absolutely crushing it. At the end of the year, is a priority to re-sign Harris or Simmons?
Harris.
Yeah, I'd say Harris. And in turn, as far as who's put a better show on tape so far, it's Harris. Harris he's just been absolutely incredible with all the batted passes and giving the guys on the line time to make great plays. So far, Simmons has had one good game, and that was against New England. So he's got some catching up to do. And so far, it makes looking what Elway did in terms of not paying Simmons over this past offseason just look like he made a good choice in terms. I think he just gambled on it, me personally. Yeah. But Harris, he's the frontliner, he's the show, and he's the kind of guy that you can say you can move on from somebody like Jarrell Casey when it's time to cash in on his really, really expensive contract, and go with him and Mike Purcell, who's also been playing really good football.
Well, and that's another. I was going to say that's another point about Jarrell Casey. If we do drop him, no dead money. No, that's so.
I think it's no chance that we retain Jarrell next year, just because of his salary, and also because of the salary cap expected to dip. I was going to say Simmons on making him the priority, mainly because of age. I do think he's got a ton of leadership. I love listening to him. I believe his slow start is an aberration. And also because we're getting rid of the Casey contract and we do have a lot of money rolling over, I think we can retain both of them.
Both of them, yeah.
But you also got to concentrate on signing Bowles too. Well, everybody knows we need to re-sign Bowles. At this point, re-sign him. But then you look at it and you say, okay, so if we re-sign Harrison Bowles, do we let Simmons go and draft a safety?
You could, or you can test out the free agent market. But I think
we still got Jackson.
But what about getting rid of Kareem Jackson?
Yeah.
I mean, it's an age game at this point,
Right.
He makes bank.
Mm-hmm.
So it's tough. I mean, these are all players that we love too,
Yeah.
But
if you were basing it on last year, then Simmons. But if you're basing it on this year as far as safeties go, you got to give it to Jackson.
So far.
But
to Adon's
Simmons has made good plays, but he's made more bad plays than he's made good plays.
Yeah, I think he was sleeping for the first.
Yeah,
he was asleep, like he just woke up.
Elway taking a gamble and not doing the deal. I think some of it had to do with not thinking that the value was there. I think some of it had to do with the uncertainty of the cap, and I do believe that he's done a nice job. Yeah, I think that there's going to be some cap casualties with other teams that have signed these people to big contracts, but you could still get Simmons to a long-term deal, and even if it's $2-3 million less a year than he was expected to get at the beginning, he's still getting a nice salary, and you're still retaining a top-notch player.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's grab a couple of these comments, and then we'll kind of switch into the Chiefs game. First of all, I want to welcome Pabby. Hi, Pabby.
Hi,
Bobby.
Bobby. My bad.
Bobby.
Bobby. I even knew that, and I said it wrong.
Shame on you, Mike.
I'm sorry. Let's see here. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Mile High Beauty. Do you guys think the Broncos will use Nigel Bradham this week? I think we have to. Otherwise, what was the point of signing him? I mean, and he honestly would be the best backer in pass coverage. So, I mean, you have to think that they have to use him.
I mean, watching the game on Monday night, it was Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Travis Kelce. I mean, watching Kelce just break loose, he is one of the most terrifying players. And the fact that that's one of our weak spots, or one of our weakest spots, is I think you're right. I think he's got to be in there.
Yeah, there's no way the Broncos can keep letting Kelce just be that wide open and making those types of catches. So hopefully Nigel comes in and he can bring that coverage and that we've been so desperately needing the last couple of years. And if they can, and if he can and actually bottle up Kelce and force Mahomes to look elsewhere, or maybe even run and let the front line do their job, this can be a very daunting day for Patrick Mahomes.
Let's swing into Biggie asking if we will see Noah Fant and Albert O on the field at the same time. I would like to, but again, a lot of people are saying that Pat Shurmur's not big on 2 tight end sets.
Yeah.
Shurmur himself said today it could happen.
I hope so.
He expects it to happen.
I mean, he's starting to get elusive about things. He's not coming straight out and saying exactly what he's going to do. So,
because I mean, if you can have Fant and Alberto, and then have Tim Patrick and Jerry Jeudy, all 4 on the field at the same time, plus Phillip Lindsay, good night.
Yeah.
Have fun, touchdowns all night.
Yeah.
But then so let's kind of spin that and into the Chiefs game. We saw that the Chiefs offensively are still better than they are defensively. Their defense isn't bad. It's still ranked top 10, top 15 in a lot of categories. So it's not a bad defense. But their offense is like top 3, top 4 in the league. I mean, there are a lot of weapons on that Chiefs team.
They're better than last year.
Yeah.
Their offense is,
if you can imagine that.
Stronger running game.
Yep.
I mean, I know Terry's still chirping in the comments.
I'm just going to ignore him.
But no one's disrespected the Chiefs. I mean, they are loaded.
They're a good team.
They're the Super Bowl champs. I mean, they're an amazing team. I mean, they've got if you were going to pick a quarterback to start your team, you would. I would think most people would be picking
Patrick
Mahomes.
Yeah.
And I mean, just watching him run the other night, and the fakes, you don't see a quarterback doing moves and juke moves like that. He was unreal.
Yeah.
He does take some hits, so I would be a little bit concerned if that one of these days he's going to get popped, in a fashion. But up until that point, I mean, they're loaded up. We got our hands full.
And I'm kind of curious to see how the defense is going to do this game compared to what we've done the last 2 or 3 games. Because, I mean, we do have enough coverage to be able to cover Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman, and Travis Kelce, even though tight ends has not been our coverage strong suit. But, take, for example, the Raiders game, a lot of what they did was 3 guys rushing with 1 guy kind of shadowing Mahomes to see where he would go and kind of direct him in a certain direction, and then everyone else covering.
Right.
But the last 2 or 3 games, we've been blitzing a lot. But you can't really blitz Patrick Mahomes like that. He'll make you pay for it. So do they blitz and gamble, or do they drop back into coverage kind of like what Fangio's defenses have been over the years?
You know what? And I heard this elsewhere the other day. It doesn't really matter if you blitz Mahomes or if you play what type of coverage. He's going to find a way to punish you one way or the other. That's just how good Mahomes is. Yeah. But if you try to mix it up and you try to confuse him, and if he can't read the coverage, the best way to beat this offense is to keep them off the field.
Right.
And that's exactly what Las Vegas did. Las Vegas ate clock. They kept Mahomes off the field. Besides of the scheme that they ran and forcing them to either go 3 and out or not score or settle for a field goal. But that's the best way you're going to beat this team. So
Not that one.
So
Not that one. I meant
right.
I meant that one.
No.
But we saw Mahomes get a little bit uncomfortable in the Raiders game, and he scrambled around a little bit. And so I think that the defense is going to have to really they played well the last game, but they're going to have to come out and they're going to have to go over the top. They're going to have to come out in all aspects.
Terry Teal saying, "Hey, I'm just trying to add some flavor to the chat. Don't hate. No hate. Much love and respect. We throw all the respect towards we throw all the respect towards the Chiefs. They're a great team. Not taking that away from them. We just can't spend the entire podcast disputing your claims because we'd never get anything done." So,
now, if you were a Raiders fan, this would be a whole different conversation.
Oh yeah, you're out.
No, I mean the Chiefs' offense is a great offense, and I don't know if the Broncos' defense is good enough to contain them. But if we can keep them under a certain point total, and kind of contain Mahomes more in the pocket than let him get out of the pocket, I think that we have a good chance of outgunning Patrick Mahomes if we can take away the running side of it.
Well, and that's why we drafted all these weapons. That's why we've signed all these weapons, is because you know it's almost impossible to beat them defensively. So you really have to beat them offensively. So, it could come down to the last possession. I'm looking forward to this game. I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a barn burner.
But we're not going to be able to they can't be able they're not the last game, the drops, that can't happen at all.
Oh,
yeah.
No, that's got it. And
there's not going to be any wasted plays, nothing. It's going to have to be close to a perfect game for them.
Yeah, you can't have 6 field goals and win the game.
No.
Not against Kansas City.
Yeah.
Unless it's 6 field goals with 6 extra points because we had 6 touchdowns. That'll work.
That's what's going to have to happen.
Not against Kansas City.
You have to ice McLovin's leg.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not saying that the Chiefs are the best team in the league. I don't think they are. I think they're top 4, top 5. But honestly, the Broncos do not match up well. But I mean, most defensive don't match up well with the Chiefs' offense. So I'm curious to see whether it's going to be blitzing like we have in the last couple games, or whether it goes back to or reverts back to, what Fangio is known for, and letting Bosby and Boye and Callahan and them kind of cover with some safety help.
Maybe it's going to be half and half.
Yeah.
Like the cream.
He's going to have to pull a rabbit out of his hat.
Nate has an interesting comment here.
That one?
Sorry. So, I mean, if you look at Nate's profile pic, there's some Nittany Lion hate on a Nittany Lion.
Well, and I think Hamler's supposed to be back, right?
Probably limited.
Yeah.
I think he's not going to be up to 100% for the rest of the season.
Hamler was limited practice.
Yeah.
I wouldn't bring him back for this game because this is probably going to be another snow game. So playing in the elements is one of the hardest things for a wide receiver to do in terms of running routes and catching the ball and whatnot. Yeah. So, and with that hamstring, I wouldn't risk putting his recovery time even longer if he happens to go out and get hurt. But
who's the other receiver behind him?
Tyree Cleveland.
That's what I was looking for. Tyree Cleveland. Give him a shot. Let him try. Hamilton's had his shot. He completely ruined it. So give Cleveland a shot. And as far as I know, Cleveland was returning kicks last game too when Spence went out, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, he might have to double duty. He might have to do special teams, and he might have to play that third or fourth wide receiver.
Yeah, we've seen that before on the Broncos.
Yeah.
Agreed. But if we're going to beat Kansas City, it's better to beat Kansas City when they're at their best and not when they're at their, worst with a bunch of second or third stream team guys.
I just saw that.
Vic Hamler tweeted today that he was back. I hope so. Like 6'10's been saying, hamstrings are tough to come back from without re-injuring them. So I hope he is back. He's got that speed that we need. He also came in earlier with agreed. KR have to clean it up for the game. We can't. We have to score touchdowns. We can't rely on kicks. As much as I love McMuffin, you can't, or McLovin, whatever his name is now. You can't rely on kicks for the game.
McMoney.
McMoney.
Oh, let's see. I think we about got. I mean, the only other thing we could talk about, and we got a lot of hate for this video, was the Le'Veon Bell overrated video. People do not like that. So, I mean, was it Andy Reid that said that he might play, but he might not? I mean, I don't see why he wouldn't play, but does he honestly make that? I mean, in the passing game, he might make a difference, but aside from Allaire, I don't see Bell making that much of a difference in the game.
It all just reeks of what LaShawn McCoy did when he came to the team last year. It's pretty much just riding on the coattails of the success that the Chiefs have had, because the running back they have now, Leclerc, he's just been playing really good football, running the ball, and I just don't see somebody like Le'Veon Bell, who played like total crap against the Jets, or with the Jets, I should say, just come out there and try to give, go toe to toe in terms of competition and hands on with Leclerc or whoever is behind. So right now, Bell might be used in like maybe goal stand situations, but I don't really see him going back to the Pittsburgh Steelers Le'Veon Bell type.
Yeah.
Don't you find it interesting after they pick up Le'Veon Bell, Clyde has his best game of the season? He was just, I mean, they were a running team against Buffalo. It was an unbelievable effort. But the thing with Bell at this point is he literally is worn out his welcome at his last two stops. So that's really where we're talking more about the overrated, is that this guy is overrated as a teammate, and hopefully he gets sour quick and causes some strife within that locker room. That'd be nice. That's what I'm looking forward to. But he's a passing. He was a talented player in his day, but I think his attitude has gotten the best of him, and me saying that just means that he's going to rush for about 175 yards on Sunday.
You knock on wood right now.
Stop it. Stop it.
The jinx is real.
That's one thing that I'm not really worried about, is the rushing attack. I mean, we do have the best one or best two, the second best or best running defense in the league. So I'm not, but again, that's where you get in trouble with Mahomes. Kind of like, we bottled up Cam for the most part, but Cam does not have the weapons that Mahomes does.
At all.
You get concerned, like, do you shadow Mahomes? Do you shadow Kelsey? Do you shadow Allaire? Do you shadow Bell? Like, there's so many options, and I don't know if we have the manpower to cover it. I hope we do. I hope I'm wrong, but I mean the Chiefs' offense is just out of this world.
Right.
Agreed.
And it's going to come down to coaching too. I mean, we'll see what happens. You can't out-coach the coach.
Well, you could argue that Fangio out-coached Belichick.
You can't argue that, but I don't know about that.
Let's see.
You know what? We went to a place that's against the best coach of all time, and we were 10-point underdogs, and we truly dominated, even though it was a 6-point win.
We did.
So what can you say?
But you also had the quarterback is your best receiver, so.
Yeah.
And that was with Cam Newton. Imagine if we would have played them without Cam Newton and without Stephon Gilmore, as was previously scheduled. So,
well, if we had done that, we probably wouldn't. We might not have had Drew Lock. So,
well,
yeah.
Hamilton still drops that pass.
Yeah. Big E Bronco.
Doesn't matter who's throwing
It doesn't matter.
Big E Bronco with check Albert O out at wide receiver. At this point, with how Hamilton played, put Williams in at wide receiver. He caught that interception, and it was way more impressive than anything that Hamilton's done. So,
agreed.
So let's go into what we think the score of the game is going to be. Do your predictions for the game.
Yeesh.
I'm not
Fine.
going first.
I'll start it off. I'll start it off, and you're going to hate me because I'm going with the Chiefs.
You're just trying to play catch up.
I am trying to play catch up, but I'll tell. Yeah. Honestly, I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to end up being like 30-27.
I was actually going to say that 30-27, but Denver. I think Denver is going to win. Well, I always pick Denver regardless. I love my team. So
I mean, I want to, but
I'm saying me in terms. I don't care if they're playing the Super Bowl champion Chiefs or the lowly Jets. I'm always going to pick Denver, whether right or wrong. So I'm going to say 30-27, Denver.
See, Mike doesn't change his clothes, so we can't expect him to pick the Broncos.
Right?
But, I'm going 34-31 Denver, and this is tough. I mean, it's either going to be Kansas City by 2 touchdowns or Denver by 3 points. So I'm going 34-31 Broncos.
Okay. I'm gonna say it's a kick that wins it, and I think it's gonna be McMoney.
Okay.
Money.
I mean, I'm just gonna say, like at the beginning of the year, I figured it was gonna be 11-5 or 12-4. So I had already expected Denver to lose 4 or 5 games. I think this is gonna be one of those ones.
We won't ask you to pick.
I wasn't expecting the first 3. That's the problem.
When we get to the the Broncos at Kansas City, we won't ask you, Mike. We'll already just assume.
All right.
We'll just revisit this part of the video. Like, okay, we already know who Mike is.
Yeah.
Mike thinks he just gained a spot in the standings, by the way.
I need to because so we got the AFC West predictions. 6'10", Christy and Glenn are all at 12-7. I'm at 9-10. So I got to make a move.
Wrong move.
We got whatever. We got Broncos and Chiefs. So Chargers and Jags.
Oh, that's Chargers all day, man. Jags have been playing opposite of what they were week 1. And that's without Chris Harris Jr.
Yeah, they're even worse when he's back in there.
I'm going Chargers also.
Chargers.
Jags.
I knew it was coming.
Don't even change your score, Mike. It's going to stay the same next week because I already know what your other 2 are going to be.
Whatever. Raiders and Bucks.
Or 1, I should say.
Bucks.
I'm going Bucks.
Raiders. I'm going to catch you.
Hate him, Christy. Boo him, Christy. You got to boo Mike.
I got to do something. I can't catch up.
Well, usually, you look at the people who are winning and you try to do what they're doing, not the opposite.
Pull Vic's comment about the Raiders up, if you could, for a second, because it's a very interesting story I heard today.
This one?
Yes. So they said that, oh my gosh, Trent, the left tackle, it's not Williams, is it?
No.
Oh my gosh, I'm having a total. Oh my gosh, I'm having a total brain lapse. Anyway, Trent Brown, yes, of course.
Trent Brown.
So he was sent home. The whole offensive line was sent home, and now NFL Network is reporting that the league is looking into the fact that he wasn't even wearing his tracing device. They haven't been wearing masks in the facility, things like that.
Okay,
so,
but they let the Titans go with something like that. So
is that why
it's just going to be a shame on you kind of?
I don't know, man. The tracking, the tracing device is supposed to be where they can really tell. They had to send the whole line home.
Is that why they bumped the Bucks and Raiders game off of Sunday Night Football?
Yeah.
Because of that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Holy
They had to bump it back.
moly.
So let's get into some quick.
Which leads us to the fact: why
Talking
shouldn't they
about
have to? No, but why shouldn't they? Because because it could affect the AFC West in a big way. But why are we pacifying the Raiders if they clearly weren't doing something that, or it could be proven that they weren't doing something they were supposed to be doing? So now, why not make them scramble and get some practice squad linemen in there and and show them there are some repercussions for these types of actions.
Make them play without an offensive line.
For years they did that.
They've been.
Anyway,
throw the punter in there, throw the kicker in there. They've got to block the D line.
Hell, throw Gruden in there.
Yeah, no, that'd be scary.
And what I just learned from that is if you forget the guy's name, don't make a point of bringing it up.
Let's get into some predictions from Broncos country. Terry Teal, I think Locke throws 2 picks. Mahomie throws 1. Okay.
I think we're gonna get some picks off of Mahomes. Ojemudia.
You think Ojemudia's gonna be the one?
He's looking better every week too.
Let's see.
He's like Superman. He just flies in, and you didn't even know he was there.
Yeah. Right.
Ooh. Landon with Broncos 24-23. Ooh, that's too close. Vic, Broncos win with McMoney hitting the game winner at the buzzer. It's McMuffin. Thank you. You can call him whatever you want. It's McMuffin. Big E Bronco 38-34 Denver. Holy crap. That's a high-scoring game. I mean, don't get me wrong. I hope they score a lot of points, but I hope that we don't let them have that many points.
If it doesn't snow, that could happen. But if it snows, then elements play a different part into how offenses work on both sides of the ball.
Christina, 21-10 Denver.
Denver, you see the growing theme here, Mike?
Whatever.
This is a Denver podcast.
I'm trying to be realistic. Leave me alone. Hey, Christy, you picked the Raiders at one time.
I didn't.
Your name is Mundungus Creevy. You're not being realistic.
Oh, man. Biggie Bronco, appreciate it. Everybody go hit the thumbs up. I think Poppy said the same thing earlier.
Yeah, thanks,
we really do appreciate it. Make sure you're going on our YouTube page, liking and subscribing, hitting those thumbs up. It really does make a difference. It really helps. Plus, we love seeing it. Also, head over to our Twitter and go ahead and give us a follow at MHRT Podcast. And leave us comments, leave us questions, predictions. We would love to see all of that. Again, this is a fan-led podcast, a fan-based podcast, so we want to make sure you guys are involved as well, not just us. And make sure you head over to our Facebook page, follow and like. We see everything on there too. We really do love having you guys here. We appreciate it. We need to go ahead and step out. Not sure I'm going to watch the game tonight. Don't really care. It's Eagles and Giants, so it's going to be – yeah! I want some. So it's going to be a massive barn burner tonight with the offensive weaponry in that game. But we need to go ahead and head out, and you guys go ahead and have a great night.
Thank you so much.